Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles the Man. So I want to welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show. And we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment. And when we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And today we got one show here for you guys here today that you definitely don't want to miss. But before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Well, they've done it again. What am I referring to? It looks like Malika Andrews is getting another huge promotion. According to various reports, Malika Andrews will now be replacing Mike Greenberg as the host of the ESPN NBA Finals, and it's official. Funny enough, we had already kind of planned content for the day, but then all of a sudden this information came out, and I was like, okay, we definitely have to produce something around this. Now, for those of you who know, Malika Andrews has been with the network at ESPN for quite some time, but she seems to be a very polarizing figure. She's had a litany of blow-ups with some of her colleagues on live television. Of course, we know the infamous one that she had with Stephen A. Smith on ESPN First Take surrounding the Ime Udoka situation, where she went on the show and basically tried to dictate to him how, how things are going to go and what he should talk about and what he shouldn't talk about. And Stephen A. Smith had to push back on that. She's also quite infamous for some of the things she said around various black players by bringing up their lowest moments at the worst time. Another example of that, the latest example, is when it took place during the NBA draft when Brandon Miller, I believe he was the second overall pick, if I'm not mistaken, second or third, if my memory serves me properly. And she brought up an incident that he was involved with, but nothing he was ever charged over. She brought that up during the draft, and a lot of us were sitting back asking the question, wait a minute. You bringing this up, what is this supposed to do? Are they going to? Is it going to change his drafting position? Are they going to stand up to teams that are looking to draft him and say, "Hey, listen, no, we don't want him anymore"? It's Michael Jordan at the time, and these guys are going to say, "Did you hear the report that Malika Andrews just said? Just put out about Brandon Miller? Now we have to change our tune." Like, why did you say that? Now, some people were saying that she was prompted to say that. Whatever the case was, those words came out of her mouth. We produced shows about it, and let me just tell you something. As someone that has produced quite a few shows about Malika Andrews, a lot of the viewers are not feeling her. They're not feeling her because they feel like she's anti-man. She doesn't like men, certain type of men at least, and she's always seems to be angry at guys for whatever reason, and none of us really understand it. Of course, there was a time where she disrespected the legacy of Kobe Bryant on television when Matt Barnes, who actually played with Kobe, was actually speaking about him, and she's like, no, you have it all wrong, and this and this and this and this. So Malika Andrews has the good amount of people that she polarizes. So then anyway, so I heard about this story and I started to research it, and actually we found an article from Sports Illustrated that I actually want to read from. It starts off with the headline, ESPN's Malika Andrews to replace Mike Greenberg as NBA Finals host per report. The article then continues on. ESPN NBA Today's host Malika Andrews is set to become the new host of the NBA Finals for ESPN, according to Andrew Marchand of the New York Post. Andrews will add another marquee sporting event to her broadcasting duties when she replaces Mike Greenberg, who hosted the show for the past 2 years as part of ESPN's NBA Countdown. The 28-year-old moves up in a new role at a time where the network has altered its top NBA talent since the conclusion of this year's NBA Finals. Longtime ESPN play-by-play man Mike Breen will now be joined by Doris Burke and Doc Rivers after the network laid off Jeff Van Gundy and Mark Jackson. Initially, ESPN brought Greenberg to fix NBA Countdown following a controversy involving Maria Taylor and Rachel Nichols. The network reached a mutual agreement for Greenberg to leave the show due to his crowded schedule that includes weekday duties on Get Up on TV and Greeny on ESPN Radio. Andrews will continue to host NBA Today in addition to her NBA Finals duties. She has hosted Countdown on multiple occasions in the past 2 years, but has not led the network's NBA Finals or signature editions of the show. Andrews previously served as one of ESPN's sideline reporters in the NBA bubble in 2020. So that's what the article had to say there. Here are my thoughts. ESPN is a very, very interesting place. It's a very, very interesting place. Why do I say this? Well, we broke a story yesterday. I'm sure we weren't the first to do it, but we were amongst the first to do it. We broke the story yesterday that Rachel Nichols will now be hosting or be the host or the moderator alongside Skip Bayless on the revamped Undisputed. We broke that story. We discussed this. For those of you who don't remember, Rachel Nichols was previously employed by ESPN. Now, why did Rachel Nichols leave ESPN? Well, according to ESPN, according to Rachel Nichols, she was in the NBA bubble, and essentially she was talking, and she had finished her show, her commentary, but her microphone was still on. Her microphone was still on, and someone was recording her, which is something within itself. And the audio came out. In the audio, she was expressing her displeasure with the fact that they were going to be relieving her of her NBA Finals duties after they had promised it to her, number one, and after she had worked for it, and instead they were going to be awarding it to Maria Taylor at the time. And she was very, very upset because she felt like they were doing that to fulfill some type of quota, right? And she's like, wait a minute. Are you hiring this person or giving this person this job because they're qualified, or are you doing it to fulfill some type of quota or whatever quota system that you want to fulfill? She was very upset. A lot of us produced shows around that. And to be fair, Steven Jackson and Matt Barnes came to her defense. Fantastic. Well, recently at ESPN, they opted to do a show that was produced only by women, only female commentators and our panelists and our host, and it was an all-woman show. And they did this. And I asked myself the question at the time, okay, why are you doing this? What is the purpose of doing this? Shouldn't you be hiring people based on their qualifications and their abilities? Why are you skewing in any particular direction? Because whenever you do things like that, it seems like you're pandering. It seems like you're pandering. And in an instant like that, you made it perfectly clear that, listen, no men allowed. No men allowed on this show. And the question is, why would you do that? Number one. Number two, let me give you guys some data. On our channel, roughly 92 to 91, or say 90, let me say 91 to 93% of our viewers are all male. And I can almost guarantee you, if you go to every single sports creator, you're going to be seeing maybe 90% men, 10% women, depending on the creator. Why am I saying this? The vast majority of people that watch sports, at least these sports, are men. Am I saying that women don't watch sports? No, I didn't say that, did I? What I'm saying is the vast majority of men watch the sport. So to me, the thing I just can't really seem to grasp is, why is ESPN going out of its way to alienate its male viewers? Number one. Number two, why is ESPN setting a precedent that essentially says it's okay to disrespect your male colleagues and nothing happens? I'm going to harp back to the incident that took place between Malika Andrews and Stephen A. Smith. Ask yourself this honest question. If Stephen A. Smith had spoken to Malika Andrews the way she spoke to him, do you think Stephen A. Smith would have been able to walk off scot-free? Honestly. Do you think that if he was dictating to her what it's not going to be and how it's going to be, do you think Stephen A. Smith would have been able to walk away from that incident unscathed? The answer is no. But once the shoes were reversed, no issue with it. And to me, it says that ESPN is trying to send a message. Now, in the case of Malika Andrews, do I know her qualifications? No. Do I care to know her qualifications? You better believe I don't give a damn. You better believe I don't give a damn. But to me, whenever I see things like this take place, it always makes me question the real agenda behind the network. That's a bad place to be as a network, where people are now beginning to question every single decision you make. People are wondering, is there an agenda behind this? It means that you have been doing things for a very long time that has caused people to become suspicious of you. What is unbelievable to me is, given how polarizing Malika Andrews is, and ESPN is not only pushing her, they're promoting her in the heaviest way. It's something I really don't understand. It's either they don't care what their viewers think, or they're like, we're going to force feed you this whether you like it or not. And to be quite honest with you, the companies doing that are the companies that are failing. You would have to be a flagrant idiot to try to sell to your customers a product they don't want. You would have to have a lot of hubris to feel like, no, you're going to take this whether you like it or not. You will find yourself out of business very, very soon. If you own a hamburger joint and people love your hamburgers, and all of a sudden you decide you want to start serving hot dogs and beef patties, and people are like, bro, what are you doing? We love your hamburgers. And you're like, no. The new thing is not. It's like, but bro, we're here for hamburgers. If we wanted hot dogs, we'd go somewhere else. If we wanted beef patties, we'll go somewhere else. We love you for your hamburgers. And you're like, no. You're going to guess what? You're going to start losing customers. So to me, I don't know what ESPN's angle is, but they seem to be going on full throttle with it. Only them and the good Lord knows what their next plan is. I absolutely don't get it. But to be quite honest with you, everything now seems like it has an agenda with that network. That's my view. And I think that's what a lot of our viewers think. And I think people have the right to have that opinion. I'll close with this. We're living in a world where it seems like people can't have an opinion anymore. And if you have an opinion that some people disagree with, you're now being forced to apologize. What in the bloody hell is going on? Is that even constitutional? Wait a minute. Am I getting this right? If I get into an argument with somebody at Starbucks, I need to apologize to this guy or this girl because I share a different view from them? Are you freaking kidding me? So why should their viewpoint take precedent over mine? Why? We're living in a very strange world. Very strange, and I'll leave it there. Catch you guys on the next show. Peace.